Support for Lab Out Loud is brought to you by the National Science Teachers Association. Find out more at nsta.org. This episode of Lab Out Loud is sponsored by Math for America. Here's a brain teaser. Ever wonder where the best science and math teachers across New York City come together to lead, learn, and share? MFA fellowships inspire great teachers to stay in the classroom. Learn about the power of the MFA community at mathforamerica.org. You're listening to the Lab Out Loud podcast, science for the classroom and beyond. And today we're talking about how we can bring chemistry to all levels, including elementary, through the use of a new chemistry pack in Minecraft Education Edition.
In 4th, 5th grade science, they're learning about, that dirt in front of you has elements that make up that dirt. I think also with chemistry, Minecraft is a game about crafting and recipes, and what better area of science that is really kind of recipe and structurally based than chemistry, which at its core is really about, I have these elements and I slam them together in various ways and I make compounds, and I slam those together in various ways, and now look, I have latex and plastic and ammonia.
That's up next on Lab Out Loud, but first, I'm your co-host, Dale Basler.
And I'm Brian Bartel.
And we are getting darn close to the NSTA National Conference in Atlanta, which will be starting on the 14th of March.
Yeah, it's coming up soon. It's there before we know it.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, we are heading down there ourselves, and we're really excited. I'm excited. Are you excited?
I'm excited, actually. Yeah, it's March in Atlanta. It's got to be warmer than here.
That's true. That's true. And I participated very briefly in the NSTA chat on Twitter, and they had different questions about things like if it was your first time to go to a national conference, what do you recommend? Guess what the most popular one was? Or most frequent.
Where is the coffee?
Comfortable shoes.
Oh,
which I don't disagree with. Those conference centers, and I looked at the Atlanta one, is huge, and there's a lot of things, so you can be a trek. But I suggested that, and I think this is my rule for all conferences. If you sit down in a session and you realize, wait a minute, this isn't for me, that you just politely excuse yourself and go to the next one, because there's so much to offer you. You might as well make the best of it.
Vote with your feet. Isn't that what they say?
Well, I'm not saying vote. What I'm saying is the session, I mean, yes, but the session isn't necessarily a match for you. I'm not going to say it's a bad session. It just might not be a match for you.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. And sometimes I go to these and I bring a lot of stuff in a bag. I'm kind of like a Boy Scout that way. Always be prepared, right?
Yeah.
But I actually recommend bringing the least amount when you're actually going day to day through the sessions, because you'll pick up a lot of things and then it just adds to it. I see people it's like they're ready to take on a hike up Everest, and they need you need a conference Sherpa.
Yeah. If it's your first session, they have a first timer session. I think they even do ice cream or something like that.
Yeah.
But they'll have other pieces of advice there. So if you're not going to the conference, the topic we're talking about today is actually going to be at the conference. Now, it's about Minecraft, and I've done a little bit with Minecraft in the classroom in the past. There was a Minecraft EDU, sort of a bunch of teachers kind of built out Minecraft so it could be used in the classroom. And then after that, Microsoft bought Minecraft, and then they created Minecraft Education Edition, and they've been doing some great stuff. And lo and behold...
Well, we saw this chemistry update, and we're like, what? Chemistry? And there's some really cool features within the newest update for Minecraft Education that, we decided, why not? Let's figure out what's in there and how it can be used for student learning.
Yeah, Brian's bells just went off. As a former chemistry teacher, you must have just been giddy when you saw it.
Minecraft and the periodic table together, it was I was shaking, watching my dog before she gets into the river or a lake. She's her body is shaking. I was kind of doing that, what?
So you're at the door. Get out there. Oh, got it.
Yeah. Okay. Get it.
Okay. So to get Brian started, we got a guest with us that's just going to give us a good introduction. But first, he's going to introduce himself.
Sure. My name's Neal Manegold. I am the Director of Learning Programs here at Minecraft Education. My job is specifically to focus on the materials around the game itself for educators and for students, and that can cover anything from lesson plans to training materials to events that we show up at, and making sure that we're delivering workshops that are valuable. My background before this, I taught for about 10 years, 5 years in Los Angeles, 5 years in the Seattle area. And I also wrote math curriculum for a few years before joining the team about 2.5 years ago at this point, before we even launched the product.
I see. Neal, welcome to the show. Minecraft has been picked up by Microsoft for a couple years now, and I think it was January 2016 when Minecraft Education Edition was announced. What's been going on since then?
Yeah, so we originally had kind of an open beta program in the spring and summer of 2016, and we officially shipped Education Edition on November 1st of 2016. In 2017, which I guess is now last year, which is still getting used to signing checks effectively with the right year on it, we shipped an add-on for Education Edition and called Code Builder, which is a platform that allows learn-to-code platforms such as Tinker and Scratch and Code.org and Microsoft's own MakeCode to connect to Minecraft so students can control this adorable in-game character called the Agent and program him to do the tasks that they've written in code, and that could be block-based coding or text-based coding. And then this fall and winter, we worked on a chemistry update for Education Edition that we announced just a few weeks ago at the BET conference in London in the UK. And that will ship over the next month or so. The chemistry update is focused specifically on adding functional tools into the game that allow students of all ages to experience, I'd say more on the introductory side of chemistry, but definitely the foundational aspects of chemistry as a realm of science, and really lends itself to kind of blending the game mechanics that make Minecraft amazing with the actual science that students need to learn.
Has Minecraft's popularity changed at all? I mean, it's really been around for, 2011? And is it continuing to grow and grow?
I think it definitely grows and changes. I first started playing I'd say about a year before I started working here on the product, and that was because my daughter wanted to play, and we have a rule at home where if they want to play a game, I better play it first, both to give me an opportunity to play more games as a good excuse, but also just to understand what this is all about. I think like most adults, I didn't understand the game at first. There's no instructions. You just get dropped into this forest or what have you, and you have to figure out what you need to do. The popularity is definitely a lot more for me about the community that exists around the game. That's been the most exciting part to work on. And so on our consumer space, that tends to be about YouTube and content creators. That tends to be about folks in social media and people that write blogs and novels and all kinds of stuff. In the education space, it really is about the educators and schools that are finding innovative ways to use the game that we never thought of. A lot of things that we put in the game have been directly related to the feedback that we get from teachers. We have this Minecraft mentor program we're super proud of with a few hundred really folks that are deep into game-based learning that are yelling and shouting and demanding things from us on a daily basis. And as a teacher myself, I think that's awesome, that people are willing to give up their time and care and energy because, if you've ever played it and you've watched young people especially glom onto the game, it's just powerful to watch their eyes light up when they engage with this thing. And so that's been my favorite part about working on the game is not necessarily the game itself, but what exists around it is kind of this affinity space of people that are just so into what it brings to their classrooms and their schools.
Well, one of our most popular books that gets checked out, our librarians will kind of release like stats on most popular book checked out at each of our schools, and almost always it's those Minecraft tutorial books, those 3 books.
It depends on if there's a Diary of a Wimpy Kid edition coming out too. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's those 3 tutorial books. They are just, some schools, they are just constantly in rotation, just worn out. And the popularity of Minecraft is still, I see, in schools going strong. I mean, still t-shirts with the characters on. I'm really impressed by that because usually, as far as video games, and I know it's not your average video game, they don't always have that kind of staying power.
Yeah, Minecraft often doesn't feel like a video game
No.
to me. I mean, I play games, but I wouldn't consider myself, I don't necessarily wear an I'm a gamer shirt, to the dismay of we actually work in the office with the rest of our franchise, so it cracks up some of the folks I work with. They're like, well, what do you do at night? I'm like, I watch TV and read. They're like, you don't play games? I'm like,
I don't understand. What's wrong?
But I know, what's wrong with
Someone
you?
should talk to Neal.
But exactly. Make sure he's on board.
He needs a game intervention.
I know, gosh, yeah. My kids would love that, to get more consoles around the house. I think for me, Minecraft has always felt very different. It's always felt closer to my teaching background is with young students, especially. I started my career working with actually preschool and kindergarten students, and it definitely feels like a construction and engineering tool first, and it's just so open. The other thing that we've had students tell us is it doesn't feel like a game that has scoring and that judges you and tells you when you're right or wrong. It just lets you have a safe space to build and create. And in a world where almost everything feels like a competition and almost everything feels like you're trying to catch up with somebody else or defeat somebody or compete with them, the fact that there's this thing that you can go to and do whatever you happen to want to do in that moment and build something or destroy something or whatnot, it's so cool. It's such a nice kind of emotional and stress break for adults and young people alike. And that's definitely what we see around our office is everyone plays it a little bit different. Everyone has their own kind of thing they do in the game. And the power of it is it allows for all of that and all those different entry points.
Are you required to spend some time playing Minecraft during your job? Like 20%, you guys need to be in the game.
I know, is that our 20% time? I play more than I thought I would upon taking the job. I thought I would work on it, and I would play as an aside. We have a realm among our team members that's kind of it's a web hosted server that we can play on at any time, and somebody's always on there. We have our mentor community has one as well. And then I have 2 kids at home, and because it can do multiplayer pretty easily, my son and daughter are 9 and 6, and they play along with me in the evenings. And it's actually pretty interesting to watch. I'm an only child, so watching siblings play together is always interesting. They are more collaborative in Minecraft than they are necessarily in the outside world. So that's always pretty cool to watch.
That's so true. I have 2 teens on the Xbox, and I'm like, why can't you, guys?
Why can't you do what you do when you're in the game? It's just kidding. Something about it.
Like they're communicating full sentences. It's crazy.
As soon as they put the controllers down, all bets are off. Okay, so
exactly.
So is this the first update, like for Minecraft education that you had? And why chemistry? If that's
actually, I feel we should step back and just there got to be listeners that still don't fully understand Minecraft. And I would say that it's a space where you can build with blocks and then have adventures and create in that space. And then the education side came on, the education edition. So aside from just building on your own, what makes the education version different from, let's say, the one that you can play on Xbox?
Yeah, so the core game's the same. I always, even though I actually have a Diet Coke on my desk right now, which is a little bit hypocrisy, I always joke with people that it's not a lot of times in education, we take something amazingly fun and exciting, and we take all the fun out of it, and we call it the school version. And then we wonder why kids get disengaged when we put it in front of them in the classroom. And I've definitely been guilty of that, as have most of my colleagues at some point. We had a commitment early on with Education Edition not to take anything out of the core game. So we build features on top of it instead of removing parts that we think might not be useful, because the students know better than us about how they use the tools. Mm-hmm. We've built a bunch of features that are targeted at teachers. So things like border blocks and allow and deny blocks, which allow me as a teacher to block off certain spaces. If I want to keep my students focused in a certain area, I can protect certain areas of building, and I can protect the world but only allow certain areas of building. I actually use that quite a bit for, we're doing a 3-dimensional activity on geometry, and I need my students to build a 3-dimensional object, and I don't want them to build all over the world. I need to jump in real quick and see what they've done.
Yeah, I've used that back when it was Minecraft EDU. They had that a similar style there, and I would do projects, for example, where the kids would have to design
like surface area and volume.
Yeah, it was
right?
You took their traditional math problem that had draw out a pool and find the perimeter and area, and they created it in Minecraft. But we using those perimeter blocks, we would kind of sequester the kids in certain groups so they couldn't go and, vandalize someone else's pool. You have to have a fence around your pool in real life. You have to have a fence around your pool in Minecraft.
This is your dance space. This is mine.
Yeah. But it really was helpful as a teacher.
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely, and I think a lot of those tools are ones that you use early on, and then as the community grows in your classroom, we find that teachers use them less and less. But they're definitely helpful at the start.
Yeah, I can see that.
The other area that I'm really excited about is actually assessment, which is hilarious to say I'm really excited about assessment. But it's really on the formative assessment side of things. So a big critique that we have from the game is I understand my students are doing amazing things in the game, and they built me the pyramids of Giza, or they were studying the Old West, or whatever it happens to be. But I don't necessarily want to jump into the world and see all the stuff they've done, but I do need to assess the evidence. So we have a Minecraft camera in Education Edition that allows me to take images or even take selfies if I feel like being a celebrity for the day. We have a book and quill functionality in the game that allows me to create writable books. And that can combine with the camera, so I can create picture books as well. Mm-hmm. Those can all be exported out of the game and put into digital portfolios or PowerPoint slideshows, or you can create videos off of them.
You talked about making it the school version, When I did it with students and they first saw that because I had them use the camera to document, and they're super excited because that's something they don't get in the regular version. They're like, oh, I can take selfies. They were just like ecstatic.
Yeah, we've definitely found small areas where we can add things that are exclusive to and those are good just in general, I think, for surprise and delight. The 3D export functionality is my favorite right now. I've been using that a ton, and that allows me to grab a three-dimensional space in Minecraft and export that out into a file that I can view natively on Windows. I can update, I can upload it to a site called Remix 3D to be able to share that. And the example I use quite a bit is I was teaching a lot of 4th, 5th, 6th grade science. We study human body, and my students would model the human heart or the brain or the eye. And so we use an example a lot where students are modeling, let's say, the human heart, and they can do 3D export, but by just changing the coordinates, I can actually export out slices or cutaways of the model that I've done. Oh. And then I can actually render those outside. So the other example that one of our teachers actually uses a lot that I think is hilarious is he talks about the Great Pyramids of Giza, and he's like, I think it's cool, but on the outside it's just a pyramid. On the inside is where all the amazing stuff is, all the tunnels and all the tombs. And so imagine your students can build that inside and out, and then you can almost slice away at it and export those out into mixed reality viewing and 3D printing and just saving as evidence. And I find when I present, I do a lot of presentations at schools, and especially for families, that's what they're waiting for.
I was going to ask that. You can export them as 3D objects, or you can send them to a 3D printer?
Correct. Send them to 3D printing. We use Mixed Reality Viewer a lot on Windows 10, which allows me to just use I don't need the goggles. I can just use the laptop's camera and imagine that in a space. So that's pretty cool as well. But it's the evidence of learning, honestly, as a teacher that really gets people to wrap their head around this thing. It's really hard to understand the game if you've never played it. I always tell people, sit next to somebody that's playing and ask them what they're doing. But if you see the evidence of an assignment that you either remember as a student yourself or that's relevant to your teaching, then it starts to make sense. And then you can explain a lot of what I do is I work with teachers in professional development about you're not recreating your classroom here. I'm still teaching ancient history. I'm still teaching ancient Egypt. I'm still studying the pyramids. We're just building it in Minecraft this year. I don't need to find extra hours in my day. There's not a Minecraft lesson. I've gathered that teachers don't have magical extra hours in their work day to be able to have students till 7 or 8 p.m. So we need to find ways to use it in our core subject areas, and that's what we work on quite a bit.
Well, and I don't want it to be exclusive for some students too. What happens with programs like this sometimes is it becomes, well, this is great for some kids after school for a club, and I struggle with that because I always feel that is going to make it, just only for certain students and basically completely leave other kids out.
Yeah, I think clubs and things are always a good entry point if people are not really understanding the purpose. We see that a lot also with robotics and coding and stuff like that in general. Even arts, even visual arts programs as well, pottery, my daughter's in a Spanish class. I would love it if that was part of the school day and not, needing to spend an hour and a half extra at the end of the day when she's already pretty tired.
True.
But what I hope is that people see examples that are relevant to their teaching. Like we worked really hard on a partnership with Houghton Mifflin Harcourt last year on the Oregon Trail, and created this Oregon Trail game world that plays out the Oregon Trail game end to end inside Minecraft. And then we worked with educators to create about, it was pretty awesome to work on. There's about 15 or so lesson plans that are, some are westward expansion, very specifically U.S. history and things like that. But there's intro to economics lessons in there, and bartering. There's creative writing lessons. There's some math and ratio and proportion. And it was a really nice example for my team to demonstrate, hey, here's a theme, just like you would do in any good teaching scenario. Find as many offshoots of that theme that you can use across the curriculum. And that's how, in my kind of dream world, that's how Minecraft gets used. I can do some more project-based learning around it, and I can use it as a home base, and then I can create, 8, 10, 12 learning activities off of that across that link to the standards I need to teach and the topics I need to cover.
We'll be back in just a moment after this quick break. This episode of Lab Out Loud is sponsored by Math for America, also known as MFA. Go ahead and write this down, M-F-A, and make the F look like the function symbol. We know, it's very clever. MFA is the only organization of its kind in New York City to offer fellowships to accomplished science and mathematics teachers. Their model is based on the belief that collaboration, continued learning, and genuine respect enables teachers to grow professionally and provides them with long-term career satisfaction. MFA believes that accomplished teachers who lead and learn from each other not only inform their practice, but also build confidence and are encouraged to stay in the profession longer. MFA celebrates and recognizes teachers. They've created an exciting fellowship community that gives great STEM teachers opportunities to keep doing what they do best, teach. Learn more about applying for an MFA fellowship and how MFA is working to change the teaching profession at mathforamerica.org. And now, back to the show.
So I was a chemistry teacher for a while, and so this piqued my interest when I saw this chemistry update coming out there. First of all, why chemistry? It doesn't seem like that would be the first major update to Minecraft.
Were you thinking geology?
Well, no, not necessarily. I think, math and English language arts get the lion's share of the resources out there, and science is often, second or third.
Yeah, I think partially you answered your own question. I know.
Well, thank you, Brian.
Yeah, you're all done. I can just hang out. I think partially our team really is interested in areas that are underserved, and not necessarily underserved, in the traditional standpoint. But as an elementary teacher myself, one of the areas I did not get enough prep on before I entered the classroom was science. I felt decent about language arts. I felt
it hasn't changed a lot.
I guarantee that. Yeah, my wife's also an elementary school teacher, so we have a pretty, and I obviously work with teachers all day. So yeah, we've seen not much movement there. And so we wanted to look at areas that were underserved in that space where we could find kind of an entrance point with an engaging standpoint, especially in the younger grades. So chemistry tools originally were, let's find better ways to use this in secondary and middle school and high school students. Maybe it's not used as the entirety of a chemistry course, but man, it can be used for a lot of the introductory functionality.
Yeah.
And then we started looking down the grades, and we saw a lot of, my daughter calls it stuff made of other stuff. Like in 4th, 5th grade science, they're learning about, that dirt in front of you has elements that make up that dirt. So we built tools in the game because Minecraft is really at its core nature and exploratory, that support that we have a tool called the material reducer where I can throw a block of dirt in there and get a pretty good estimate of what would be elements that are in there. And you can also throw Minecraft blocks in there that don't exist in nature. And we create an extra element called a question mark, which is amazing to hear students talk through because we haven't discovered all of the elements that could ever exist anywhere. And so we tried to really blend what's made the game successful from an exploration and iteration standpoint, but also keep the science accurate. We were joking, I learned a whole lot about different, I'm not a high school chemistry teacher. We have advisors that are high school and university professors that worked with us for 6 months on this project. And I learned way more than I ever thought possible about all the different elements that make all the different types of plastics, like ABS plastic, and sitting there arguing over what should be the chemical formula for this to make sure we, again, honor the science, but also keep it accurate to the game as well. And I think also with chemistry, Minecraft is a game about crafting and recipes, and what better area of science that is really kind of recipe and structurally based than chemistry, which at its core is really about, I have these elements and I slam them together in various ways and I make compounds and I slam those together in various ways, and now look, I have latex and plastic and ammonia and all kinds of interesting things. And then we added a bunch of useful, fun things to the game, things that are only available in Education Edition, like balloons and glow sticks.
Yeah, speaking of balloons, I'm seeing a picture of someone walking up to a pig, and I remember pigs in Minecraft, and then all of a sudden, this pig is just launched into the sky with a balloon. What's going on there? You're making pigs fly.
Yeah, it's a little bit ludicrous, and we wanted to make sure, again, like, we have game designers on our team, and we sat there and looked at it for a while, and we're like, what should balloons do? And, well, you should attach them. First off, there's just balloons, and everyone went, oh my God, we have to have balloons, so let's put a crafting recipe in there, and you have to be able to have latex and a lead and all that. And then, well, what should it attach to? And we're like, well, we have leads in the game, and those connect to the animals. And so the developers not only put that functionality in, but they also put it in, it's roughly physics-based. So if you throw a balloon onto a chicken, it is going to accelerate through the atmosphere like the Elon Musk rocket, versus a cow is going to have quite a lengthy journey up into the outer reaches of space. So it's been pretty interesting and fun to work on. There's super fertilizers. There's what we call ice bombs that you can throw it at water and turn it instantly to ice. That are all, and they're all science-based, right? They aren't ones that just exist in the inventory. If the students want these awesome things, they need to do the work and understand the fundamental chemistry necessary in order to create them. And that element of discovery, the first class we tested it with was a bunch of 6th and 7th graders. And they went through not understanding what this was, and then 7 minutes later, they had already had their first items. Kids are amazing; they figure it out. And
if you give them the proper tool to learn, then you can take them, for two tremendous places. I'm looking at the element constructor, and you have a little preview of it. And what I like about it is that it showcases isotopes. And that's often a concept that gets missed by many, many students, is isotopes there. So I'm glad to see that piece in there. The one thing I don't like is that you have the electrons and the protons and the neutrons are roughly the same size. Was there any discrepant conversation when you built that?
I could share that there were 1 or 2 conversations about the various ways we should design the element constructor.
Ryan's a chemistry teacher
good.
Here. You're going to get some feedback.
Yeah.
I just want to know that she had some contentious discussions. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would also always say there's no right way to do it. There's no, and it's part of when I taught science with younger students that I really loved about it. It was one of those areas, and some math as well, where there isn't necessarily one path to success. It's not a follow what I do. It's actually at its best when you say, hey, here's this model, here's how we do the element constructor, and somebody can look at it and say, wow, that's amazing. My students are accessing this chemistry at a younger age, or they're really fundamentally understanding this. And somebody down the road is going to look at that and go, well, this is just the Bohr model, and you need to have this, and you need to have that. Yeah. And it's no different than with our Minecraft mentors. I look at that as, wow, people care enough about what we're doing that they're demanding more and more from this game. That is reiterating to me how valuable it can be in education versus, oh, that's a cute thing, and then nobody goes and uses it. I think the excitement and the demand to do more and the demand to do better really shows how much people are into this thing. And that's been, as a teacher by trade, and I come from a family of educators, that's been the coolest part, is how much the teachers that we work with care about the ways that it's used in the classroom and really give their valuable time to us to demand more and to demand better.
How do they get that information to you? Like if if there's a Brian out there that wants smaller electrons, or I would like to be able to have a side view of that pig.
I just want different models.
I want to track the motion of the pig. So, being a physics teacher, I'd like to see its acceleration. So how
Dale wants the physics update now.
The whole thing is, how do teachers get that information to you?
Yeah, so we have a bunch of different avenues. So the mentor program is one where folks have applied. It's about 350 mentors in 70 countries, and we have them in contact with us and each other 24/7 through Microsoft Teams, so they communicate all the time. I would also say that across our franchise, Minecraft's always been about direct contact with the team. So people message me on Twitter all the time and send me thoughts and ideas, and follow me so I can DM you this idea I have, and they're always nicely surprised where I write back and say, here's my email address, write to me, I'll hop on Skype with you, we'll chat through it. We also have discussion boards and a support channel on our website. My teammates that I'm looking at right now across the kind of hallway from me, they man our support team, and they're not in some office somewhere else in the planet, they're right here next to us, and so we chat about it all day, every day, and it's nice. We're actually in a place where we have tons and tons of things that people want us to do, and we try to have to, rank them and stack them up so that we can do the best that we can. We also do something that I'm really proud of, where our team uses about half our time on these big updates, so the chemistry update or code builder or what have you. The other half is spent on more incremental improvements, things like, hey, you put this thing out and I'd like changes to it because of the ways that my student uses it in reality. And those are small changes that I think a lot of groups might not take advantage of because it's so easy to get focused on the next big thing. But it's those little changes that really make a difference in a classroom environment. And maybe it's a frustration. I always assume that if it's a frustration point for somebody enough to want to get in touch with me, that there's 50, 75, 100 other teachers who would like to share that feedback but aren't because they're, busy or they're doing other things. So we try to be very respectful when educators and students contact us with their thoughts and ideas. We visited a fourth grade classroom this week, and a boy sat with me for 5 minutes to explain to me how we should redo and add some animals into the game. And you could look at that as, kids come up all the time, but I look at that as, that's an 8 or 9-year-old who's really thought deeply about this game that he really cares about, and I want to make sure we honor his time, and we took notes about it, and we brought it up to our team. We may not build it next week, but all the notes are definitely there. We want to make sure people feel like they're heard.
Well, fantastic. I'm sold, and I'm sure there's many other listeners out there who are thinking, I want to start this weekend and play around. So how do people get into Minecraft education and with this chemistry update now?
Yeah, so on our website, our website's education.minecraft.net. There is a purple button on the top left that says Get Started. It will prompt you to go through and make sure that you have a license for the game if you don't already have one. Folks that use Office 365 Education, which are all free licenses, those come with a free trial baked in for Minecraft. Teachers get 5 logins of the game. Students get 10. I would say if for whatever reason they need help with the game, if they go again to education.minecraft.net, there's a menu right up there at the top that says support. And our team staff support all day, every day, and has, I think at last count, they had a 6-hour response time, which includes nights and weekends. I think that was pretty darn good. I was surprised how awesome they've been. And so they'll respond as well. People can always contact me directly or any of my teammates. On Twitter, our team is at PlayCraftLearn. And my super boring handle is just Neal Manegold, because I couldn't think of anything cooler. And people can feel free to contact us as a team or individuals anytime, and we will hop on email, hop on Twitter DMs, hop on Skype, and work with educators. A lot of times teachers are interested, but they need the support of the school or the IT admins or folks like that to get the software installed or get the licenses set up, and our team is staffed to help support that or at least point you in the right direction as well.
What about after the first free trials? What is the cost then? Does it depend on the amount of people that are using it at your school, or how does that work?
It does somewhat. The cost per individual license, if as a teacher I wanted to purchase it for my class, is it's a user-based model, and it's $5 US per user per year. So I used to have about 24, 25 students in my class. So I look at it as, $120, $125 as a classroom, and we have access to this for the year. The software is free in that model. So we obviously, as you guys are both aware, we have so many shared devices, and who knows what piece of hardware you're going to be on week to week. So that allows us, with schools and districts especially, to install it everywhere. And then for the folks that have access, they're able to get to it. I can install it on a home computer. We have libraries that have installed it, or grandma and grandpa's house, so that the students can use it there as well. There's also obviously volume licensing models. So we have customers that have bought 15 licenses or 25 licenses for a classroom, and we also have entire school districts and states that have done purchases where they've come in from the top and said, I really see value here. Yeah, we've really tried to show the value, especially in coding, computer science, and in STEM. Those are areas where all over the map, right? We're still, I wouldn't say we're struggling to figure out how to teach them, but we're still trying to find what are the right tools. And the answer for me has always been there's not one tool to kind of rule them all. It's not Lord of the Rings. But there are tools that everyone should have access to, and that's always how I've looked at Minecraft. It's never something where I'm thinking teachers are going to use this all day, every day. But it is something where I say, oh my gosh, I'm teaching geometry or proportionality in a math class, or my students are reading the Phantom Toll Booth and I want them to model the different scenes from the book, or we're studying, we had teachers in, it's actually on our website as a lesson plan now. They modeled the entire city of Verona because they were studying Romeo and Juliet. And it's actually a group project between a teacher in the UK and a teacher in Ohio who happened to meet each other as Minecraft mentors, and they struck up a friendship. They both teach literature, and now they have this whole thematic unit on Romeo and Juliet that's done exclusively in Minecraft. And that's one of those things where, for me, it's the fact that the game can forge that community and find like-minded people to really do more together than they had been doing on their own. I mean, this one guy teaches in Ohio and was wondering if he's the only person that uses this game, and now he's a part of this massive community and is able to collaborate overseas. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, I've noticed that there's like lesson plans shared that way too.
Yeah, we have about 325, give or take, right now. There are some that we've written ourselves. I have a team of 3 board-certified teachers, including me. We have some that we've done in partnerships with organizations. We've worked with the Roald Dahl Estate, the Smithsonian, Houghton Mifflin, Institute of Play. And then I would say the overwhelming majority are teachers submitting lesson plans that my teammates and I curate. We chat back and forth with them with functionality on our website. They submit a draft. We edit it with them, because the teacher shouldn't have to waste their time copy editing. We can do that with them. And then those get published on the teacher's behalf. And we have stuff covering every subject area, every grade level at this point, all filtered. We're currently working with a company to get those aligned to standards so that folks overseas, especially, a lot of our lessons, if they're Common Core based or things like that, they are now aligned to standards in Australia and UK and Europe and the Middle East, to make sure that for a lot of, I'm sure you can imagine, for a lot of larger school districts and states and districts and provinces, the content needs to be great, but it also needs to have some visibility into how it's attached to their core curriculum for it to really take off.
Sure.
So you have nothing to do yet. You're pretty much done, is what you're saying.
This is
I just sit around and play Minecraft. Yeah, my 6-year-old definitely thinks that. He thinks I hop into my office, I put on a hoodie and a controller, and I hop out at 5 o'clock.
And as long as he keeps believing that, don't change his mind.
I know, exactly. People definitely think I'm much cooler than I am at my kids' elementary school, because I asked them not to share, and that took about 5 minutes. My dad works on Minecraft. I'm like, oh boy, this is...
Yeah.
Did you make the game? No. Did you design the features? Well, no. And then they'll look at you, they're like, what do you do?
I don't understand.
In a kid's mind, yeah, there's only one pathway, and it's game creator. It's actually, we've done some projects in the education space that have been really valuable for young people to see all the career paths that go into game studio work as part of Xbox. And that's been awesome, because I don't think people understand that, we're upstairs in our building, downstairs below us is 343 that works on Halo, and between just those 2 teams, between Minecraft and Halo, there's hundreds of individuals across every different career path that Microsoft offers.
Absolutely.
And they happen to work on the game, but they've all taken different roads to get there. And I don't know that young people, it's hard to really wrap your head around that because all you see is the actual game, but the work that goes into the surrounding materials and the franchise in general, there's so many career paths that can end up in this area. It's really amazing.
You could build that in Minecraft so the kids could wrap their head around it. Huh?
I know, build our studio.
And everybody's got their roles.
Yes, there's some areas that are a little messier than others. I won't name any names, but some of our departments are definitely
Authenticity.
Yeah, I'll say that. There's definitely stuff around the office, and that varies by department, shall we say?
So you could do that as a chemistry piece. There, you could be like a fire hazard. This is what it would look like if it actually caught on fire.
I thought you were going to say entropy.
Oh well, there's that too.
We did have a Microsoft executive where we were demoing it and showing them what was going on, and out of nowhere he goes, can I blow things up? And I looked at him, and someone in their mid-40s. I'm like, some of us just never grow. It's actually the delightfulness of it, right? You're learning the science, and at the same time, everybody likes to, like you guys were saying, with attaching a balloon onto a pig and watching it float off into space, but understanding the elements that built the compounds that built that item to actually pull that off. That for me is an awesome entry point. And my own kids at home understanding the elements that make up sand and that there's elements we haven't discovered yet. And they've seen pictures of the periodic table, but to actually understand what these things are, and some of them exist on their own and some of them get combined with other items, and what is it, dihydrogen monoxide or whatever the person came up with, where they did a whole report on water and had everyone convinced it was this really dangerous thing. I think all of that is great. And I hope we've done coding, we've done chemistry, and I think in the future I definitely see our team investing in other areas across the curriculum, especially those that need some more interest for young people to be really prepared for university and the workforce.
You got any hints what's coming next? Am I going to get my physics measurer? Or?
Biology.
Physics is hilarious. I heard you guys kind of mumbling to each other about it too. Physics is a funny one in Minecraft. I mean, when I started playing and I knocked out some dirt and the rest of the dirt was hanging up in midair.
Yeah.
It is definitely one where people ask us, they're like, "Oh, you need a physics pack." We've talked about sciences. We've talked about visual arts as one. Storytelling and media production is another that we were always.
I like that one.
Language in general. There's a lot of kind of communication aspects in Minecraft. We want to be able to better teach collaboration and creativity, and be able to enable those better. But
wait. Minecraft wants to teach creativity and collaboration better?
Yeah. No,
to me, that you're
yeah, I think we do it already in the game, but being able to highlight what areas of creativity and collaboration students are currently doing, and those are more asks from the community, whether those are more people want, for example, they want video game casting to go on Inside Education Edition, and I try to have my teacher hat on and say that, gosh, with the size of a hard drive for a student's computer, they will always have that on because they want to be the next YouTuber. So will we build that, and how will we build that? And it's a perfect example, right? How do you do that in a responsible way so you don't just allow students to create gigs upon gigs of videos for no reason, but it's actually connected to the learning that they're doing in their classroom?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Neal, thank you so much for joining us. It's we can't wait to get into it, and can't wait to see what students get out of the chemistry update for Minecraft education.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure sharing the time with you, and I'm happy we got a chance to chat about chemistry and chat about this journey we've been on. There's a whole lot more to go, and it's been a fun ride so far.
If you'd like to learn more about today's episode, head on over to our website, laboutloud.com, for more information. You can also find details about all the previous episodes, and you can leave us feedback and comments. We want to hear from you.
If you enjoyed the show, make sure you've subscribed on iTunes, Google Play Music, or your favorite podcasting platform. And if you really enjoyed it, consider leaving us a rating or a review. Your feedback helps others find our show.
If you like Lab Out Loud and you love the show that we provide for you, please consider supporting the show at our Patreon page. Head on over to patreon.com/laboutloud for more information. Until next time, I'm Dale Basler.
And I'm Brian Bartel.